Time for some psychological horror books. Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Zach with Zacks Books, and today on this edition of Zocktober, we're going to be doing psychological horror book recommendations. That was a mouthful. So as I said before, we are doing recommendation videos mainly as kind of the focal point of Zocktober, I would say, this year. Kinda, sorta. There's going to be a lot of them. And in this one, we've got psychological horror. I've got 5 books. We'll link them down below if you want to check any of them out. Also down below, podcast, Bookstagrams, Danielle's channel, Goodreads, Pango Books, everything's down there. Just check it out. Also, depending on when this goes up, we are close to 4,000 subscribers, so if you're not subscribed, do it. And if you are subscribed, thank you, and thanks for the support. Keep going strong. And without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and let's get into the books. Alright, first up is probably the most recent one that I read, because I literally read it yesterday when we were filming this. And that is Misery, Stephen King. Wow, okay, so first time around I gave this 4 stars. And the beef I had with it was the little intervals. So let me give you some plot with this book real quick. So basically we are following Paul Sheldon, who's an author, and basically what happens is he gets in a car accident and is rescued by his #1 fan, Annie Wilkes. This is a very big, I'm speechless with this book now that I've read it a second time. Like, my goodness. So this time around I gave it 5 stars. Basically he's the author of the Misery series, and he, in his latest book that is about to get published, he kills her off at the end, and Annie Wilkes hates that. She reads the manuscript for it, and she goes on, so she's already got a past of, weird psychological issues, because she used to be a nurse. She's, a really messed up individual. Basically holds him captive, forces him to rewrite Misery back to life, and OMG. The only beef I had was, in the book you get little intervals of him discussing, or not him discussing, of the other book he's writing, Misery's Return, and there are things in this book that are just gruesome. If you watch the movie of this and you thought the movie was rough, you don't know anything about this book. The whole hobbling scene, what Annie does to a deputy in this book is way more grotesque than what happens in the movie. And honestly, there's a very solid chance this is now going to be in my top 10. So just need to find out what's going to leave the top 10. So yeah, Misery by Stephen King. Alright, next up is another 5-star. Honestly, probably one of my all-time favorite horror books that was not written by Stephen King, even including Stephen King, honestly. The Silence of the Lambs by Thomas Harris. This book is amazing. The movie is also amazing. I like this edition. This cover looks really, really cool. This is a book about a woman who is coming up in the police academy. I think she's trying to be a detective. Let's see, what is... Clarice Starling. Yeah, she's a training at the FBI Academy. And basically what happens is she's trying to find a serial killer known as Buffalo Bill. He makes skin lotion. If you know, you know. And basically what happens is she seeks the help from Hannibal Lecter, who is a cannibal and basically is a murderer, and she's trying to get help from him to get a point of view of a serial killer, what would be his next move, what's going on. There's so many things in this book that are so good. It's so well written. This is actually part of a series. There's there's Red Dragon, which I have not read, which is like kind of a prequel to the Hannibal Lecter series. And then there's this, then there's Hannibal, and then there's Hannibal Rising. I have not read any of the other three, but I want to read Red Dragon because a lot of people say that is the other best one in this 4-book series, I guess. This is just a very well written book, and honestly, this is out of the 5 of these, I want to say this is probably the one I would want to reread the most. There you have The Silence of the Lambs by Thomas Harris. All right, next up is Bird Box by Josh Malerman. This is actually a book that has eluded us in hardcover. Like, I'm trying to find Rage, which I'm never going to find it in half-price books, and she is on the hunt for a hardcover edition of this book, and we just cannot find them. We could probably always order it, but whatever. So, Bird Box. This is another book I believe I gave 5 stars. It might have been 4. I think it was 5. I don't remember. Check out Goodreads. Maybe I gotta reread this. Basically, this book is about it's like a survival story. And basically what's going on in the world is there's these creatures where if you see them, they drive you to madness and it makes you like hurt other people and then like kill yourself. It's like very sadistic, it's very creepy, and we're following the story of a woman. It starts off as I believe she's alone. Well, there's like 2 different times they're talking about in this book. This book is weird. There's the woman, and then she gets in a group of people. She, I believe, has her own kid, and then there's a woman who gives birth, and I need to reread this, I believe. But basically, that's my understanding. A woman gives birth. I remember that happening. And then, like, there's intervals of, like, her in a boat with the 2 children. And, like, the thing is, to go out in the outside world, you have to have a blindfold on. Otherwise, if you see these creatures, they will literally drive you to madness. Like, straight up graphical stuff in this book. The movie I have not completely seen, but I've heard a lot of good things about it. Sandra Bullock. But the sequel, Mallory, it's not as good. In my opinion, it's still a good book, but it just doesn't compare to the original here, Bird Box. Very good book. So I would definitely recommend this book, obviously because it's in this video. So there you have Bird Box, Josh Malerman. All right, next up is one that I would say is more borderline thriller than horror, but I'm going to put it on this list, and that's going to be Shutter Island by Dennis Leanne. So this, I can already hear people saying this is a thriller. I don't care. I'm putting this in here because it's my thing. Okay, so basically, if you don't know what Shutter Island is, this is about 2 detectives who go to this island, Shutter Island, and they're trying to find a missing patient. This place is like very sketchy with doing experiments on their inmates or their patients. Well, this is set in 1954, so this book was so good. I also gave this 5 stars. Almost all these books I gave 5 stars, honestly. The plot twist in this book, if you saw the movie, they're pretty closely related. They're almost identical. The plot twist at the end of this book is like magnificent. Never saw it coming. I saw the movie before I read the book, so I knew what was going to happen, but it's just such a good book. Or they're marshals. Yeah, they're marshals. Teddy Daniels. And I want to say, who's his... Chuck. Chuck is his partner. And it's a really good story. You're trying to... It's suspenseful. You're on the edge of your seat while reading this book. It's a page turner. It's, again, like I said, plot twist. The whole, like, doctors being weird people is just really good. So there you have Shutter Island by Dennis Leanne. Alright, next up is one that Danielle... Actually, it's the last one in this. Danielle read, gave it 5 stars, and I read, gave it 5 stars. And that is The Patient by Jasper DeWitt. So, this cover is absolutely stunning. Even the back is. I honestly didn't even realize that, like, the holographic thing on the back is actually somebody in a straitjacket. Never realized that. And I have probably owned this book for 2 years. And I think Danielle didn't even know about it because she's looking at the book right now. Okay, so basically what hooked me on this was the blurb.
I still don't even see it.
There's a belt. There's a belt.
Take us to school.
There's a belt there, a strap there, and yeah, it's a straitjacket. You can see it better on the back.
Ah, yes, okay.
It's the same on the front. It's literally somebody in a straitjacket. I honestly thought it was just I'm wasting time. Okay, so basically what hooked me on this was the blurb. I write this because as of now, I am not sure if I am privy of it to a terrible secret or if I myself am insane. Basically, there is this case of a young man, there's a kid who's been in this psych ward like 20-something years, 30-something years. Something happens to both of his parents, and like he ends up in this he ends up in a mental institution because I can't say the other word. And basically, this guy who is an up-and-coming like psychiatrist is like, nobody's been able to crack this kid or this guy. Like, that sounds terrible. Nobody's been able to figure out this guy. He has not like been talked in like years. Like, something happened that traumatized him to where he won't speak. He's known as like
the toughest patient.
He's like, literally, they keep him in a completely separate like side of the building. They're like, you can be over there and everyone else will be over here. Like, go away. And this doctor's like, yeah, I'll get him. Like, I'll talk to him. I'll give him the talk. Book had some twists. Like, it was like, It's such a good book. I really enjoyed this. Now that I'm like more remembering it as I'm talking about it, it's a very solid book. I need to reread this too. I need to reread a lot of this.
I do too.
Buddy Read November. All right, there you have The Patient by Jasper DeWitt. All right, so there you have my 5 psychological horror recommendations. Honestly, I got so into it, I forgot that they were psychological horror. Like literally all of them are just pure psychological horror. And so pretty much all those books are really good. It's why they're in this video. If you have any recommendations, let me know in the comments down below. Or if you have opinions on any of these, let me know in the comments down below. Again, I'm aware Shutter Island is not really truly horror, but I'm considering it horror. I'm pretty sure Goodreads also has it listed under horror, so get off my back. Yeah. We'll have these linked down below. And again, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in tomorrow's episode. Later.